Hello YouTube, I thought today I'm going to do a video talking about my collection of Xbox 360 games. I've got listed in my collection, which is on price charting, which I'll link in the description. I've got 326 games listed, so most of them are English. Oh, so my dog's wandering in. She's trying to get on her bed. So this is my dog. She's a Shihtzu. She's a miniature strain of Shihtzu called a Karashishi. She's commonly mistaken for a puppy. She's not. She's fully grown. She's nearly coming up 7. So she's come in to have a look what's going on. Currently there was an insect in the kitchen where she's normally based, so she wasn't too happy with the insect, and she's come into the game room to get a break from the insect. Anyway, let's start with the games. So I basically list my entire collection. She just decided to sit on me, so I might not be able to get up for this. Anyway, all my games are listed on price charting. I try and input all my games to give me a rough indication of what I've got in my collection. So for the 360, I've had the Xbox 360 since I got it in the month it released. I didn't get it on launch day, but I got it on the month it came out. Unfortunately, it didn't survive. It suffered the red ring of death, not in the guarantee, so I had to get a replacement. So I started with the original model, and then I got a replacement one a lot later, which is the slimline, the black model. Anyway, let's start. So my first shelf, I basically put on all my compilation games and my shooting games. So I'm just going to show you how the games, and I'll tell you a little bit about each title when there's anything interesting to mention. So on the first shelf are basically compilation games. So this is being one of them. This is the Pure and Lego Batman double pack. This I got at the car boot. This was sealed. It was one of my most expensive, cheapest games. I basically paid £1 for this sealed. It has the 2 games on it, Batman and Pure, both being good games. I like the Lego series, and Pure is an alternate racing game, which is good and still plays well to this day. Then we have another double pack. We've got Lego Indiana Jones and Kung Fu Panda. There's nothing much to say about this one, then quite cheap to find. We've got Devil May Cry HD collection. I'm a big fan of the Devil May Cry series. I like all the action games, and most of the games Capcom make are great. I've played nearly all of them. I haven't played the most recent one. I'll pick it up when it goes and think. See, I've played through Devil May Cry 3 is probably my favourite. I've played through the game at least twice. I played through it originally on the PS2, and then again I played it through on this when the HD version came out. I mean, this is a good... all the games are still good. You can get the games digitally on like Steam, but I'm happy to have this version, which enables me to play them and get the achievements, the Xbox achievements anyway. Then we've got Zone of Enders, the HD collection. This is basically Zone of Enders 1 and 2. So 2, I had 1 originally, but I didn't have 2. But then I picked up this version to get me the second game. Then it's basically, these are all mostly HD collections, these ones I'm going through at the comment. So this is the Metal Gear Solid HD collection. So they're basically Metal Gear Solid 2, 3 and Peace Walker, the PSP game that came out on the PSP, available. So this is all in HD. I had the original version, but I'll still buy this one. And it enables you to get the achievements and look at them, watch them on the big screen. Yeah. Then we have Hitman Trilogy. So this is Hitman, basically 1, 2 and 3 in HD. I like the Hitman. I've got the current Hitman. I'm waiting for one of the parts in the cell. I think I've got parts 1 and 3 of the current one. I'm just waiting to find the other one and basically not pay for it. So that's Hitman HD Trilogy. And then we have a Blast from the Past. So this is Alien Breed Trilogy. So Alien Breed is basically like a top-down shooter, a bit like Gauntlet, a science fiction version of Gauntlet anyway, in more like, with more like an alien kind of theme. So this is basically came out on the Xbox 360 digitally, and this is all three parts of that in the thing. And it's by Team 17. Also, they also have done other good games like Worms, if you know Worms, and this is the all three parts. Then we have Mega Drive Collection. So this is basically a selection of 40 Mega Drive games. This has got like all the classics. It's got Sonic, you've got Streets of Rage, Echo the Dolphin, and even some of the more obscure ones. There's stuff like, and there's the RPGs like Shining Force. I think it's got most of those on it. It's got like all ports of Streets of Rage. Anyway, very good value. It's a lot cheaper than buying the originals. I mean, admittedly, I have some of the originals, but this is a nice way to pick them up. I do believe there's a more recent version. I think you can get it on the current ones like Xbox One and PS4 maybe. So there's that. There's Xbox Live Arcade. So this is one of the versions of say they released these on disc for people that didn't have Xbox Live at the time like me. So I basically picked this up so it enabled me to get access to some of those games. There's stuff on like, there's Pac-Man's available on here, and Uno, and I believe it's Luxor and something else that's not so good. Pac-Man's very good anyway, but you can get it on the Namco one, which I'll show you in a minute. This is basically another volume of the same disc. So this is the one, this has got these games on it. So it's got Geometry Wars, Wiki, Outpost Colony X. They gave that away recently on Xbox Live, and some other games. It's not amazing. I mean, Geometry Wars is a classic. The rest are like meh. You've got Namco Museum Virtual Arcade. So these are basically, this is basically it has some of the original versions and basically new editions. So like Pac-Man CE, Gallagher Legions, and that. I mean, I mostly prefer the Pac-Man one. I think Gallagher's also good. Some of the other games are available. It's basically, this is like Namco Museum, like the PS1 compilation, but it's basically all on one disc, and they have more recent versions. Okay, and the next series we're going to talk about is my shooting games. When I say shooting games, I don't mean like Call of Duty shooting games. I mean like R-Type and stuff like that, or shmups as I like to call them. I'd also like to say there are many other good YouTubers on shmups, such as Shmup Junkie and Electric Underground, that are well worth a watch. They're always good to watch, and they tell you a lot more info than I know, and they're probably more specialists. Anyway, so these games I'm going to show, most of them are some of these are going to be Japanese and imports. So these Japanese games, they do work. These ones all work on any region machine, because they can choose, basically the publisher, when they were released, they can choose to release the games without region encoding, which means if the game wasn't going to sell a large amount in the territory, it will enable you to play it anyway, and it will enable the game to sell more copies. Anyways, the Xbox 360 is region locked, but like not all the games have. I still need a Japanese one to enable to play the Japanese games that I can't play currently. Anyway, let's go through them. This is probably the best one. So this is Muchi Muchi Pork and Pink Sweets. This is on Cave the Best, which is basically a re-release label, which was in Japan only. So this one is hard to find a value of. I say on price charting, I can't find a copy of this re-release on the thing. It used to be a $250 game or thereabouts, but it's hard to find a value. I would think it would be around £100 and something pounds. I would say also worth knowing for people that don't have access to these Japanese games, that the certificates on the games are done in language letters. They're done like ABC. So A being the lowest and C is like an adult 18 plus game, so this is like a B thing. Anyway, these two games are both shooters. So this is Muchi Muchi Pork and Pink Sweets double pack. So Pink Sweets is secretly its successor to Ibura, the PS2 game that was only released in Japan. Yeah, they're both brutally hard cave games. I would put them on like a cave scale of 1 to 5. One is basically Donpachi, the first loop, or Death Smiles, the easy loop. These I rate these as like a 5. they have a rank system. So basically, the longer you survive and don't get hit or take damage, and the more bombs you have stocked, you basically the game gets progressively harder and harder in real time, and by the end of the game the rank bar goes through the roof. So you basically have to strategically suicide, die intentionally to reset the rank and try and get more extents. But they're brutally difficult, not one I'd recommend for a beginner. And also I don't think they look particularly good on the 360 port. I don't think they look particularly good, and I'm supposedly they have quite a few frames of input lag, which I'm sure if you want to see in more detail, one of my other Electric Underground or someone will go into the details. Anyway, it could be due with a re-release. Then we have a one. So this is Mushishima Futari. This is the second game. This is also on the Platinum Collection. So this is a beautifully looking game. It's one of the best looking games Cave have produced. This goes for around the goes for about £100. It's in a fantasy theme, so they've got it translates as somewhere around bug princess. So it's more in like a fantasy theme, and it's got like insects and stuff. The artwork's beautiful. It's one of the best games Cave have ever done, and I'd probably give it a 5 out of 5. It's the perfect pretty much, and there's a selection of nicer range modes for various difficulties. So the base game isn't very difficult, and it's probably like a 1, and then you have up to like black label arrange mode, which is like brutally difficult, and you need basically it copies the reflect mechanic from Geiger Wing, and it basically means you can hold down a button and you can reflect all the bullets on the screen, and it's quite difficult. It's probably very difficult. Anyway, that's Mushishima. As I said, also the first game is also available on Steam, but this one isn't, and currently it hasn't got a re-release on any of the modern consoles, so it still holds its price of around 100. This is ESP Galuda. This is also another Cave game. As I said, most of these games are going to be by Cave. They're one of my favourites, and like a lot of other people, and they haven't made anything recently though. So this is ESP Galuda 2. This is also a re-release. I'm not that keen on it. I got it for Christmas one year, and I just don't think it's anything special. It doesn't hold any that for me. Not one of my favourites. There's also ESP Galuda, the first one, which I've played, but not as much as this one. This is still reasonably expensive. This is around 70 something, I believe. Now some non-Cave games. These ones are going to be all English. So this is Project Slippy. This is a sequel to I believe it's a PS2 game that came out originally. So this is not really a traditional shooter. This is more like a Star Fox kind of shooter. I was expecting it more like the original. It's also got Square Enix logo on it. There's also only believe 2 games by Square Enix or published by Square Enix that are shooters. So this is one of them. Then we've got probably my favourite game of its generation and one of the best shooters. So this is Donpachi Resurrection. This is the deluxe edition. I don't believe it was released in America as a deluxe edition. These were brought into the UK and Europe by Rising Star Games that have published a lot of these kind of games, of Japanese games. They also publish things like Harvest Moon and Rune Factory. This is the edition that comes with a soundtrack CD. This game is also available on Steam currently as you can get the edition with all the deluxe content. This still maintains value, and it's my favorite, one of my favorite shooters, and probably one of my favorite 360 games. They've got more Cave games. So this is Aki Katana. So this is also bought in the UK by Rising Star, and it probably has more value to the American market, and it wasn't released there. So this is basically one of Cave's most of Cave's shooters are horizontal, and this is vertical. So this is a thing. It also has a good selection of arrange modes. I think I prefer the other games in general, but like this one's in the middle somewhere. It's not a bad game. It doesn't as good as other ones. And we got Death Smiles. So this was the first cave game I played. It's got a fantasy theme. It's a vertically scrolling again. And so this one, it's one of the easier cave games. To say basically, I'd recommend this or Donpachi to beginners. Say this one is like doing the base game on the lower settings is like a 1 on a 1 to a 5 scale. I single credited this within a month, and I think my second one I played was Donpachi, and I 1 credit to that on base difficulty, not on the higher difficulty, within about a week. So I'd recommend this one to beginners. I said this has been ported to the Switch currently as a double pack with this and the second game in the series, and say they are also, you can also get it that way. I believe they've added some extra content to this one with extra characters, which I haven't experienced, but I'll probably get it at some point. Then we've got, this is a crossover game. So this is Wartech. This is also known as Senkei non Rond in Japan. Yeah, I paid the tag price up on it when it came out. I thought it was going to go up in price eventually. This one hasn't really. So this is basically a cross between a shmup and a fighting game. It's basically plays like a one-on-one fighting game, other than you basically compete with the opponent, and you basically have, it's like a cross between a one-on-one fighting game and a shmup, when you have to dodge through patterns and shoot the opponent. There's also a sequel, Senkei non Ron Duo, which is also available. I think it's also on the 360. Didn't come out in Europe though. Then we have Under Defeat. This was originally a Dreamcast game. It was basically ported to the 360. It's another. It also comes with a soundtrack CD as well, and it has a selection of a range, and it's more than likely is cheaper than the Dreamcast version, as a lot of the Dreamcast games are on the rise. Anyway, I'm going to get up now and show you the next show once my dog. Are you going to move, Soph? No? Alright, I need to get out. Sorry. Yeah. She's just not been happy. She's just been ejected off sitting off me. Okay, I'll get on. Right. So the next shelf we're going to see is nothing special. It's just sports games. It's like, even I have sports games. I'm not a huge sport person, but I do play them digitally. The only thing I like that's remotely sporty is, like, say, wrestling and MMA. And there's, like, I've put the wrestling games on the beat-em-up shelf. Whether you should think it's a sport or not, I don't know. Anyway, so we go through the actual sport games. FIFA 07. Nothing special. Probably never played it. Then we go FIFA again. FIFA 11. Another one. FIFA 13. FIFA 17. I think that was the last one published on the 360. FIFA Street. That's quite fun, actually. That's more like an arcade football kind of thing. So I quite like that one. Then we've got your PES or Pro Evolution Soccer, whichever you prefer. I probably called it PES. So that's PES 17. That's when it was called Pro Evolution Soccer. So that's Pro Evolution Soccer 6. Madden. I don't really understand and NFL that much. I've my only experience with it is games. It's a bit stop and start for me. I think I first played an NFL game on the Game Gear at some point, and that was the thing. So that's Madden 13. Anyway, you can get most of the new ones on Game Pass now, so if I want to play one, I'll probably get it on that. And you've got Madden 9. Then we've got NBAs. So these are the all EA published. A lot of the sports games are. You've got your EA, and then you have your 2K series. Is NBA Live 10. Then we're moving on to NHL, so we've got NHL 2K16, NHL 09, Tiger Woods 10. I quite like golf video games. I mean, I'd say my favourite two video game sports genres are probably golf or tennis, funnily enough. As I say, most of my golf games I prefer are Mario based, so Mario Golf is probably my favourite, and then say we'll get to the tennis ones in a minute. You got Tiger Woods 11. Well, say EA used to have Tiger Woods as a thing, and it's now it's like Rory McIlroy now, because obviously Tiger Woods, they lost the license. And we start with the tennis games. So we've got Sega Superstar Tennis. So this is like a fun tennis game. It's got all the Sega-based characters. So it's got like Sonic, the monkeys from Monkey Ball. You've got Ooh La La from Space Channel 5. Yeah. Then we've got more serious tennis games. Smash Court Tennis. It's not really more serious tennis game. It's still an arcade-style tennis game. It's got more modern people in it. Then we've got your Virtua Tennis. So I started playing this on the Dreamcast. It was one of my first tennis games. This is one of the more recent ones. You've got Virtua Tennis 3. You've got Topspin, which is it's basically the 2K version of Virtua Tennis. So that's Topspin 3. And the most recent one, Topspin 4. It says we're compatible with the 3D thing. I've never tried that personally. And you've got another EA game, Grand Slam Tennis. I mean, the hair on that guy is amazing. And this is a Rockstar game. This one's probably not very well known. So this is Rockstar Table Tennis. There's not many table tennis games. I can't think of another one. This is also by Rockstar, the same people as do GTA. Not something I'd associate with Rockstar. Anyway, there we go. So now we've got baseball. So this is the Bigs 2 Baseball. This was a nice surprise. This is an arcade-style baseball game. I basically quite enjoyed this one. I mean, they're not that many, other than maybe Mario, and there's a couple of other ones. So other than not understanding some of the terms like RBI on that, I quite enjoyed that one. Then we've got cricket games. So Ashes cricket. And we've got the Olympic Games. So they mostly do a game every time they do the Olympics. So this is Beijing. So this was 2002. No, 2008. My mistake. Definitely 360 wasn't out in 2002. So this is also for the Winter Olympics. So this is Vancouver 2010. Then we got the Fight Night games. So these are all boxing games. So these are good fun. These are definitely worth getting. So this is Fight Night. This is round 4. I believe the first one they did on the 360 was round 3, but I don't have that one. And then you've got Fight Night Champion. Then I've got snowboarding. We've got SSX, which is not as good as the SSX Tricky, which is probably the highlight of the genre. But there we go. So then we got Skate, which is supposedly more realistic than Tony Hawk. But like I've got both. And to finish, we've got Tony Hawk. Now we go to the next shelf, which are basically RPGs. Probably one of my favourite genres of game again. So, but I see like games at the extent. So, but games that give you a lot of replay value. So basically, you can get replay value out of your game by playing either the same game way through multiple times, or basically playing it through generally once and getting more value out of it that way. If you count amount of hours for your money. So we start with the RPGs. So this is Darksiders. This is supposedly the limited edition. I think there's a more deluxe edition that came out. This is good fun. They're kind of like, I describe them as like, kind of like Zelda. They're kind of like open worldy. And it's like, yeah, it's probably like Zelda, what I'd imagine on the 360. There's more versions of this. Anyway, we can go on to the next one. We've got Square Enix games. So a lot of these games are going to be beat by Square Enix. So this is Last Remnant. I can't remember much about this one, to be honest. Anyway. Then we've got Hunted. So this is by Bethesda as well. So this is a more like action-based RPG. You can play it as 2 characters. One is more like a fighter, and the other is more like an archer. You can also play it in co-op. And he said they good fun. I played it through both times. I haven't played it in co-op though. And then we go on to the others. So this is more a bigger box game. So there's not many 360 games that came in a bigger box. This is one. Is The Witcher 2: Assassin of Kings. So I didn't play the first Witcher. This is the first one I've played, and I've got the newer one. As I said, the next game is on its way. Number 4 is on its way. Probably not going to have Geralt as the protagonist, though. Anyway, this is Witcher. It's also got, I believe, this has got a bigger box because it's got the CD and a guide in it. And we've got Phantasy Star Universe. Obviously, I remember playing this originally on the Dreamcast. This is a more modern version of it, and I believe there's some more recent ones as well. I mean, I've got this is one of the Xbox games where I've got 100% of the game score out of. Then we go on to others. So this is Lost Odyssey. So this is by the same person, Hironobu Sakugashi, I believe, who created Final Fantasy, and this is another RPG by him. This is quite large. I think this is a free disc game. So that one. Then we have Star Ocean. This is The Last Hope. I believe there's also another deluxe edition, but I don't have it. So this is Star Ocean on the 360. There's a lot of games in the series. I haven't played all of them. Then we've got Renaissance of Fate. So this is like a more it's a kind of it's in more like an RPG in a science fiction kind of setting in a dystopian world kind of thing. They have guns as opposed to most fantasy themed games. It's a different kind of RPG. I don't think I managed to finish it all the way through, but it's different. Then we have Infinite in Discovery. I don't even remember playing this one. It's like nothing special, I don't think. Then we have more actiony RPGs. We've got Nier. So I've played this one all the way through. There's also the more recent one, which is I believe available, Nier Automata and that, and I believe that one of those is available on Game Pass. I can play it on Game Pass as Nier. South Park: The Stick of Truth. I haven't played it currently, but like this is like I saw South Park, well, at least the first so many series of it anyway. I'll eventually play it at some point. It has some value. It was worth more than I thought it was. I probably paid £1 for it. Then we have Kingdoms of Alamo Reckonings. So this is by effectively a load of fantasy people. So there's R.A. Salvatore, Todd McFarlane and some other people that did this. There's also Kingdoms of Alamo Re-Reckoning that came out more recently, which is like a remaster of this. I believe I got it free on either PS Plus or Game Pass, so I'll check it out, the revision at some point. Then we move on to Mass Effect games. So there's the trilogy. So these are the classics. So we start with the first game in the series, Mass Effect, which it came out and the thing. Now you can get the more recent version of this, the Mass Effect trilogy with the remasters. So I believe that I didn't play them in sequence. Anyway, this is Mass Effect 1. This is Mass Effect 2, which is the second in the trilogy. I don't have Mass Effect 3. I borrowed it off a friend and finished it off when a friend's version, so I don't have it. But they're classic games. I mean, so I would say this is probably the better of the trilogy. I haven't played the most recent one. It got disappointing reviews, and I didn't get around to finishing it. But I finished the original trilogy anyway. Now we move on to Final Fantasy 13, which is one of the only numbered Final Fantasies to have multiple parts carry on with the same characters. Anyway, this is Final Fantasy 13. So once you get out of the... I didn't think it was as bad as some people did. So this is the protagonist Lightning pictured on the cover. I didn't think it was as bad as people thought it would be. Being the intro of the first, like, say 10 hours until you got to through the map was like a tutorial thing, and once you got past that, it was fine. The subsequent games are probably better, so I won't spoil it if anyone's thinking. So this is the second part. This is Final Fantasy 13-2. And then there's the third part, which is Final Fantasy Lightning Returns, Final Fantasy 13. So that's part 3. So then we go on to the Bethesda one. So you've got your Fallout games. So this is Fallout New Vegas. That's the Ultimate Edition. That's the one with all the expansions. I also have the original Fallout New Vegas because I am a completist and I want all the versions. That's the one. Then we got Fallout 3. So that's a game of the year, or Gotcha as they call them. So that's Fallout 3 with all the expansions. Still plays really well. I mean, you could probably play it on a PC and you can have it with more modern textures, but that's the Game of the Year edition. And now games where I have something in common with. So the Fable series of games. So obviously the original Fable came out on the Xbox. So they're like a they were by a British company called Lionhead Studios. So I did work experience there, and I'm in the credits for the first game. Check it out if you want. I said this is Fable 3. I'm looking forward to the new Fable game when it comes out. It's not by the original studio though; it's by someone else. But we'll see when it comes out. I quite like the Fable games. They all run nicely. They're quite fun. Don't take themselves incredibly seriously, but they're good fun. That's for Fable 3. Got Fable 2. Then we've got the Eternal game. So this is Eternal Sonata. I played this one all the way through. I really enjoyed it. It's also in a long-running series. I haven't played most of the other games. Then we have Skyrim. I mean, I'm sure this has come out on nearly every single console. I mean, this was its first printing, and it's been released on nearly every system from like Switch, everything else. Then I've got the Dragon Age series. So I've got Dragon Age, that's Inquisition. Dragon Age 2. And the full edition of the first game, so that's the collector's edition, and there being Dragon Age Origins. Right, there we go, carry on the shelf. So it's Deus Ex Human Revolution, that's the collector's edition of that, or augmented edition as they call it. And we've got Dragon's Dogma, so that's a Capcom game. I've also got another more recent version of it as well. They're more like action-y RPGs again. Then we move on to the Souls games. I've put them with the RPGs. I feel that's where they're home. So that's Dark Souls, the first Dark Souls. I say, I couldn't finish this one. This was quite a hard one. I rate it on the difficulty setting. I found the second one a lot easier, and I finished it. And it's like that, I'd rate as one of the best games of its genre. So now we go Dark Souls 2. So that one is one of my favourite games on the machine again. So that was also, I found it a lot easier and I finished it. And we've got Blue Dragon, so that's another, it's a kind of crossover like game. It's the animation is by the same people that did like say Dragon Ball Z. And it looks really good. It looks like a cartoon. It's also a bit like Dragon's Quest kind of game without the property of Dragon's Quest. So it looks really good. It's also a multiple disc game. And then we've got some more the slightly unusual ones. We've got Alpha Protocol. So this is like a kind of like spy, a modern themed spy. It's like a James Bond kind of RPG. It's kind of unusual. It's quite cheap now and it's worth getting. It's quite unusual. Then we've got LA Noire. So that's more closer to I would describe as a point and click. I haven't finished it. It's got a more thing. It's also by Rockstar as well, which is more unusual. I think it got a re-release on the Switch as well. Okay, so now we'll go on to the next shelf, which are basically going to be music games. So I got 2 copies of Def Jam Rap Star. I got them, they're all sealed. I haven't played them. It's like if you like your music games, like it was sealed. I basically got this for nothing. They were like 50p equivalent along with the next game. So I got Dance Revolution. This is the Kinect game. I don't have a Kinect sensor currently. I'll look out for one at one point. So this is like a dancing game with the thing. I've played various DDR games over the years, but I haven't played this one. So that's Dance Evolution. Then I've got a whole series of Guitar Hero games. So like Guitar Hero 2. This is the one I started out. I didn't get the PS2 one when it came out. I do have the boxed edition with the guitar. They're upstairs somewhere. I'm not looking for them. They take up a lot of space, the boxes, and I've got them upstairs. So now we go the other Guitar Hero game, Guitar Hero 3 Legends of Rock. This one, the classic one, the soundtrack's really good. I mean, I listen to a lot of these songs separately. I got into various different music through playing these games. So that's Guitar Hero Legends of Rock. I've got the controller here actually. I'll just show you a minute. I'll turn around. Yeah, so this is the controller. It's basically modeled on a I believe it's a Les Paul guitar, so it's got the thing. I like this controller. I currently use it for the other games as well. I feel the bar where you is more rigid than the other ones. So this is the Guitar Hero 3 controller effectively. Right. Then we got DJ Hero. This was an innovative series. There were only 2 games in the series. As it's basically the dance stroke equivalent of Guitar Hero. So you have a turntable controller. There were only 2 games in the series. They were really expensive when they came out. They were nearly 100 for I paid for this on release, and there's only 2 games. I'm still on the lookout for a second controller because I'm trying to play with 2 players face to face. And there, so that's DJ Hero. And then we've got the second game in the series, so that's DJ Hero 2. So some of my favourite DJs are on this game, and it's like there's got various licensed tracks. This one is more mashup centric than the other one. It's what do you prefer? It's like I like various songs by like DJ Shadow, for instance, and Grandmaster Flash. This has more dance songs on it. The other one's a bit more hip hop. It's like I like both anyway, so they're both good games anyway. And I mean, like you can get this for pennies, unless you're looking for the controller, which is basically essential to playing the game. Then we've got Rock Band. So that was Rock Band 3. That was the last one released on the 360. So this one, you have the difference between this and the other ones in the series is there's a keyboard controller that was released especially for that, and I believe that's the only game that's compatible with it, and you basically can effectively use a keyboard to do the things, whereas every other one only has guitar, drum and vocal parts. So that's Rock Band 2 and Rock Band the original. There are also various band ones as well. I believe there's Aerosmith, Green Day, along with some other ones. So this is one of the licensed ones. So this is Beatles Rock Band, the classic. So I've got Abbey Road on vinyl with first edition pressing. So I like the Beatles. That's Beatles Rock Band. This is one of the easiest games in the series, though. It's just that these it seems really easy compared to some. So like Through Fire and Flames is like a 5 out of 5, and I probably never clear the song on the highest. Whereas this is like a 1. Guitar Hero Warriors of Rock. So this is kind of more. It's more like metal, mainly metal. And it's like, yeah. We have these are the more. So these are the more vocal only kind of ones. So this is Lips. Another edition of Lips. And then we said this is more the crossover ones. So this is Child of Eden. So this was designed for the Kinect sensor. So this is also a music game. It's by Tetsugi Megashi. So he also did Rez as well. So Rez is one of the best games ever made. It's like outside of this. This probably isn't as good. I haven't tried it with a Kinect sensor, but it's like a synthesizer, which is the term they use for crossover between audio and visual. Anyway, I don't think it's as good as Rez, but it's still worth getting. And then we got the dancing stage games. I've got the full edition with the map, but it's not here. So this is the last one. So this is Dancing Stage Universe. This is the second one. And then we've got the original Dancing Stage Universe. I think these ones are far harder than the PS2 game. The last PS2 game I played, I thought they were clearable for me. Whereas I struggled with this quest mode on this game. I thought they were really, really difficult. I mean, we've got a set of games now. So I go down to my shelf. So we go, these are basically all going to be games in a certain series. So we're going to start with Lego games. So we've got Lego Harry Potter. This is the... this is basically from the last 3 years. So this is years. Oh, it's year 5 to 7, yeah, because it's based on the book. So this is years 5 to 7. The first game is 1 to 4. So we go Harry Potter. That's years 1 to 4. Then we go Lego Hobbit. Lego Lord of the Rings. That's a classic re-release, that one. Then we got the Batman ones. So we got Batman Beyond Gotham. So that's there. Then we got that's Batman Superheroes. Marvel Superheroes. Lego Avengers. Lego Star Wars. That's the Clone Wars one. That's one of the more recent trilogy ones. So that's Force Awakens. There's the new Lego game that came out recently. I'm quite looking forward to it. It reviewed reasonably well. Just haven't got around to it. I'll wait for a sale, I think. And that's Complete Saga, original trilogy. They're all fun, these games. They're just quite easy. As if you play them in co-op with a younger person, they're probably better. So that's another Star Wars original trilogy. Then we go on to Assassin's Creed games. I think they're all backwards in this. So we'll be starting from the more recent ones. So we've got Black Flag. I really enjoyed that one. I'd say other than I didn't particularly like the boat, the sailing. It was pretty good. Assassin's Creed 3. Assassin's Creed. I don't have Assassin's Creed 2. I borrowed a friend's copy. That was the first one I played, so I don't currently have it. I'll look out for it. It won't be worth much anyway. Assassin's Creed on Classic. The more spin-off games. Assassin's Creed Brotherhood. And, I have 2 copies of that for some reason. No idea why. We've got Assassin's Creed Revelations and Assassin's Creed Rogue. Now we go on to the fighting games. So I like fighting games. I'm not very good at them, but I've played quite a few. So this is Street Fighter versus Tekken. I mean, this one's not great the condition, but like it still goes for something. So I'm happy to have it. And then we've got the Soul Calibur one. So I started with Soul Calibur on the Dreamcast. I believe I've got Soul thing on the PlayStation as well. So this is Soul Calibur 4. Back in the days, we run a tournament at school on Soul Calibur, and I took my Dreamcast in and we ran it. Whether the Yodas should be in the game or not, we don't know. So in the other Soul Calibur games, they're basically, depending on the platform, they have different characters. So like on Soul Calibur on the GameCube, they had Link, for instance. So this is Soul Calibur 5. It also had Ezio from Assassin's Creed in it. So we've got the Tekken games. So this is Tekken 6. I'm missing Tag Tournament 2, which also came out, but I don't have it. So this is BlazBlue. So this is another more anime-based fighter. So this is the first game in the series. And we got one of the later ones. So it's BlazBlue Continuum Shift. These are by Arc System Works. That basically made Guilty Gear as well. So you've got one with skill ones, that's Arcana Heart. I wouldn't be surprised if that's worth something at the moment. I haven't looked it up recently. We've got the Persona related one, so this is Persona 4 Arena Max. I haven't played the Persona actual game, RPG game, so I've basically held this because I think it's got a story which will carry on from that, so there's Persona. And then we go various Street Fighters. So Street Fighter made probably a renaissance around this time. So I've got various editions of it. So this is Street Fighter 4, the original one. Then we've got Super Street Fighter 4. I mean, these games were so much that I remember buying the SNES cart originals at around 50 each at the time. And so these ones were way less. So this is Super Street Fighter, which is like the Super Street Fighter equivalent on the SNES. It's that with the characters that came out in that game. Then we've got the last one, so we've got Ultra Street Fighter 4. And then we're going to go on to more. These were mostly Capcom games, these ones. So we've got Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom. I've got the Dreamcast original Marvel vs. Capcom. But this is Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom. That's the better of the editions. Then we've got Marvel vs. Capcom. DOA game. So it's Dead or Alive 4. That was the only one to come out on the free. Oh yeah, Dead or Alive 5 did come out as well, so I don't have that one as well. I've played the more recent one, 6 as well. Then we've got Mortal Kombat games. So this is Mortal Kombat, whatever year it is. It's just called Mortal Kombat. It's the reboot of it. Then we've got some crossover fighting games. So that's Mortal Kombat versus DC. So that's got like Batman and various other DC characters as well as the Mortal Kombat ones. That's still good fun. Then we move on to wrestling games, some of my favourites. So we go the more obscure. So we've got this is the TNA Impact Wrestling game. So if I can name all the characters on the cover. It's Kurt Angle, AJ Styles, Samoa Joe. I've watched Impact Wrestling for ages. I started when it came on TV and satellite in the UK, but I haven't watched it much recently. And so I enjoy Impact Wrestling. It's one of the more mainstream wrestling companies. It's still going today, and it's been going for a long time. I mean, there's not many video game adaptations. This is one of them. It's good fun. One of the characters that came out in this game was developed into a real character as well. It's called Suicide. He doesn't wrestle under that title anymore now, but he still wrestles in MLW currently. Then we go Legends of Wrestling. So this is the more classic wrestlers. So it's Andre the Giant, Hulk Hogan, Rock, and various things, as long as Stone Cold Steve Austin. Jimmy Hart on that on the cover as well. So this is a more classic. If you like your classic wrestling games, I thought this is quite fun. You also, if you have one of the SmackDown games, you can also import the recent roster into it as well, and you can use both sets of characters. I think it's good fun. There's a current review on YouTube that didn't rate this game very highly, but I thought it was quite good. Then we've got another WWE All-Stars. So this is a more arcadey style wrestling game. I think the consensus is with the wrestling games, the controls aren't very good. They feel quite clunky and slow. I mean, this is more arcadey. I feel this is also good fun. Then we're going on to the mainstream games. So we start with SmackDown vs. Raw. This is 2009. So it's still got an ECW license on it. Yep. And then we go 10, 11, 12. Yeah, I'm trying to complete a set of wrestling games. I think I've got most of them. If you don't, I'll try and get them. And we go 13, 14, 15. And finally, Stone Cold Steve Austin. That was 2016. I mean, some of the years are better than others. Some of them have got like interesting. I believe this has the campaign is about Stone Cold Steve Austin on it, and there's another year that's got like the history of WrestleMania going from the first one to the more recent ones. And I feel those 2 years are two of the better ones, whereas some of them are a bit like disappointing, like the career mode. Anyway, that's the one. And then we got more MMA games. So this was the first one I got. It's UFC Undisputed 2010. So I started watching various MMA after this. And so there's also, that's Brock Lesnar as well on the cover for those of you people who watch wrestling as well. So he one of the crossover people that have done both, along with Bobby Lashley and some other people. And so now we go on to the other games. So this is UFC Undisputed featuring Pride. So this is one of the only games in the series. They didn't do many others in the series. It's not a main series game. Then we've got Supremacy US MMA. It's another crossover one. I don't think it's based on any real life properties. It's just a fictitious thing as far as I'm aware. And then we've got EA Sports MMA. That was, I believe, one of the only ones. So that's one of my favourite fighters on the cover. It's Fedor Emelianenko. He's on the left-hand side of the box. One of my favourite ones. In his prime, he was an absolute beast. I say I've barely seen him lose even now. I think he lost in under a minute, though, relatively recently. Now we go on to another shelf. So these are going to be, this is going to be quite a long video, unfortunately, people. As I say, we're going to try and go quickly. I've still got another 3 shelves to go through. Right, so we're going to go quickly. So these are more platform games. These are all Sonic games. So Sonic Unleashed. So this is the one with the werehog on it. It didn't get a good review at the time. I don't think it's very good anyway. But is it the worst Sonic game? No. The one I'm about to show you is. It's terrible. That's probably the worst Sonic game. This is Sonic the Hedgehog. If you bought it in the day, you'd probably be very disappointed. I'm not sure what the main problem is, but like it's very hard. The camera is awful. It controls very badly, and it's quite clunky. I don't rate it very much, and I don't think I've got any achievements off it. Let me go one of the best ones, Sonic Generations. So this is basically a crossover kind of Sonic game. So it's got levels which are done in 2 different styles. So they've got the more modern Sonic and the old styles. So you've got the more like Sonic Adventure kind of levels and the classical 2D Sonic levels. Very good game. Then we've got some more platform games. So we've got Prince of Persia, this one being the more recent one. Then we've got Rayman. I don't think I played a Rayman game before this one, so this is the classic one. This comes, I think this is also available on the Switch. Then we've got, these are basic games that feel like they're RTSs mainly, so they feel they'll be more at home and PC. I got this recently, so this is a spin-off from Quake, called Enemy Territory Quake Wars. I've never played it. Lord of the Rings Battle for Middle-earth 2. Tom Clancy M-War, so this apparently you can play this game with voice. I don't know how. I haven't looked into it. And we've got Halo spin-off. So this Halo Wars. Got Command and Conquer 3. There's also the other ones available, but I've only got this one. We've got XCOM. And then we've got Viva Pinata games. So this is the first game. So this is but done by Microsoft. It was done by Rare. In the days, so it's like a gardening kind of simulator crossed with like say Pokemon. It's also quite unique. So you basically build like a garden, and you basically do like farming, and you have to track the various species into your garden. They gave away the Viva Pinata party animals. Maybe it was only last month on Game Pass. Yeah. And we've got the sequel Trouble in Paradise. I haven't played it yet, but I will play it at some point. And then we've got the more unique games. So we've got Beautiful Katamari. I paid that for it. I'm sure it's going to be worth more than that eventually, because it's one of the more obscure games. I was like, you basically roll a ball and just pick up things going around, making it ever larger. And you basically so any games that are more unusual, released in small quantities, either at the beginning of the lifespan of the machine or towards the end of the lifespan of the games that you want to pick up. And basically all the RPGs will generally go up in price. So you basically, if you want to pick them up, well, you can. That's what I recommend. And then you've got Terraria. That's like a Metroidvania kind of 2D thing. And then we go, these are going to be actual shooting games coming up. So we've got Syndicate. That's the adaptation of the game that came out by Bullfrog. This is the thing. I picked this one up by mistake. It's in Spanish. I'll probably have to try and get an English one. It doesn't have an English language option in this game. And we've got Left 4 Dead. It's by Valve, the same people that did Half-Life. It's still worth, I think it's at least 15. I think I paid £1 for it. I've played the more current one on Game Pass, and this is supposedly better. Then we've got the Tom Clancy games. So we've got Rainbow Six Vegas. That's the second one. We've got Rainbow Six Vegas, the first one. More Tom Clancy games. They're all Tom Clancy games. There's like Splinter Cell. It's like one of the more games. This is like say Metal. This is probably a bit. This is closer to Splinter Cell is closer to a Metal Gear Solid kind of game with a similar kind of focus. You don't have to go via the brute force option. You have you can take it more stealthily if you want. And we've got the other ones in the series. So this is Double Agent, Blacklist. I think that was the last one in the series on the 360. Now we're on to Ghost Recon games. So we've got Ghost Recon Future Soldier. I would say also say I've got like, I think it's 320 games. I think I'd like to try and get to around the 360 mark, which would be a landmark. So that's Ghost Recon Advanced Warfighter 2. Ghost Recon the original. Quantum Theory. I think that's more obscure. I've never seen this one before. I picked it up for the price on the tag. It's by Temco. I haven't played it. I'll try it at some point. I think it probably has more value. I think it's slightly harder to find. Let's say Perfect Dark. That's the Xbox 360 Perfect Dark. Let's say I played the original Perfect Dark on the N64 when it came out. It was the game which needed a RAM pack. I don't think that it's as good as that one was when it first came out, but like I've still got it. More games. Turning Point. It's just a more modern, like Call of Duty kind of game, nothing much special. We've got Halo games. Halo Reach. One of the spin-offs, Halo 3, the ODST thing. Halo 4. Halo 3. The anniversary edition of Halo Combat Evolved. Then we go on to F1. So these are all racing games now, they're on the same shelf. So F1 2011. Sonic and Sega All-Star Racing featuring Banjo-Kazooie. As I say, with my racing games, I'm more towards the arcade racing kind of style of game. I like things like Outrun and like Burnout rather than the more modern like Gran Turismo kind of games. Project Gotham Racing, that's 4. Stuntman Ignition, so that's a slightly more obscure one. So you basically are playing as a stuntman, so you basically need to do stunts for various movies, and you basically trying to shoot various things, and you get various stars based on doing various tricks and stuff. Split Second Velocity. Test Drive. Ridge Racer Unbound. Ridge Racer 6. Now this one, it was the first game I got for the Xbox 360 when I picked it up. So this was the first game I remember playing. And I still quite enjoyed it. I quite like the Ridge Racer games. They're good fun. One of the better arcade racing games. This is Ridge Racer 6. I believe they went as high as Ridge Racer 7, I'm going to say. These are Need for Speed games now. So we've got Most Wanted. Shihtzu Unleashed. It's another game in the Need for Speed series. Need for Speed Hot Pursuit. Pro Street. Need for Speed Undercover. So on to slightly other series. So we've got the Grid games. They're basically like a Gran Turismo, more like kind of clone. So this is Grid 2. Grid, the original. Now I've got Forzas. So these are basically similar to Gran Turismo on the with the obviously not on the Sony platform. So these are similar. So they're more realistic with real life cars and a track. So this is Forza 3. Forza 4. Flat Out. So these are like dirt. So these are more basically rally-based games. So there's the Dirt 3 was one of the things. So there's also more like a mode called like Gymkhana, where you do like tricks and stuff and more like stunts. That's the original Dirt. I've got Burnout. So this Burnout Paradise. So this is the Ultimate Edition. So this is the one with the bikes in addition. I think that's one of the best racing games ever made. It's good, really good fun. And it's like, I think there's a more modern version that's remastered in 4K. So this is the edition with the bikes though. And then we've got the last racing game in the is Blur. Also one of my favourite bands. And I said Blur is a basically imagine like Mario Kart, other than not cartoony and slightly more realistic, but it's not realistic in a way. You've got weapons and everything, but that's good fun. Right, so now we go on to actual shooters. So we've got FPSs. I will call them FPSs from now. So we've got Wolfenstein. Obviously not the original. The series has been going for ages, harking back to Castle Wolfenstein. This is like the Wolfenstein. I was going to say it's one of the reboots, but they've remade it many times. This is Wolfenstein. And then we've got Club. So this is by Sega. So this is more like an arcade-based shooter because it's got like a time attack kind of focus. So you do various short levels, and it's based on replayability and replaying through the levels, trying to get various medals and stuff. It's good fun. And then we've got more open world. So we've got Rage. This is by ID, the same people, ID and Bethesda. So it's more like, it's a bit like a Borderlands game. In fact, it's the similar kind of apocalyptic kind of vibe. And then you've got Metro games, so like the similar post-apocalyptic setting. So you've got Last Light. This is the limited one. And then we've got 2033. Then we've got like Dead Space games, so they're more like Alien would be if it was a game. So we've got Dead Space, the first one, is the Isaac Clarke. These games are quite hard as well. It's like if you play them on the highest setting, they're pretty hard. There's a setting for doing it with only the base weapon, the plasma cutter, the plasma torch, which is quite hard. It's Dead Space, the first one. There's also a gun game spin-off as well. There's Dead Space Extraction, which is available on like the Wii, which I'll have in a later video. One of my next videos will be gun games, so I like gun games, so I'll put them in a video on there. This is Dead Space 2. Dead Space 3. Then we go on to Valve as games. So we've got Orange Box, so that's Half-Life, Team Fortress 2 and Portal, all on the 360. Then we've got Portal 2, supposedly one of the best games ever made. I haven't played this one yet. I've played the original. I'll play it at some point. I got it relatively recently. Then we've got Gears of War games. So that's Judgment. Gears of War 3. Gears of War 2. The original Gears of War. Then we've got Far Cry games. Far Cry 4. That's one of my favourites. So you can gain control of an elephant and liberate it from like a camp, and you can basically take control of it and it destroy its captors. Far Cry 3. Far Cry 2. And these are the Fear games coming up. So this is Fear, this is 2. So they're more like a horror kind of FPS kind of thing. They have some value because like they are slightly more obscure. So that's Fear 2. This is the Fear file. So this is basically a standalone game on the Fear engine. It's more like the first game. The original Fear. And we've got more Bethesda games. So Dishonored. I didn't think it was as good as people made it out to be. I was described to me as a 9 out of 10 kind of game, maybe a 10. So I'm getting more like it's like a 7 for me. I haven't played the second one. I'll give it a chance at some point. Then we've got some more zombie ones. We've got Dead Island. So these are basically more like a zombie kind of theme. This one's set on this one's set on an island, and it's packed with zombies, and it feels with a Resident Evil kind of like vibe. That's the sequel, so that's Dead Island Riptide. Then we've got the COD games, many COD games. So we go with, call it COD, World of War. And we've got Ghosts. Black Ops 2. Black Ops. Modern Warfare 3. Modern Warfare 2. Modern Warfare, the original. We've got slightly more games. We go Brothers in Arms, Hell's Highway. I believe there's another game in the series as well. They're more like a World War II kind of theme. Then we've got Brink. This is more like an arcadey kind of shooter. They're quite fun. We've got Bulletstorm. That's a good one as well. That one's good fun. It's like quite arcadey. You could have various things. They're called like skill shots. Your basic aim is to kill the people, but doing it in the most stylish way as possible. That's good fun. Then we've got Borderlands games. Some of my favourites. So I haven't been playing Borderlands for ages. I've played since the original Borderlands when it came out, and I've played most of the games in the series. I've played through them. Other than the Tales from Borderlands series, I've played all of them. I'll play Tiny Tina's at some point in the future. Anyway, so this is Borderlands, the pre-sequel. I wasn't that keen on the anti-grav sections in the game, but other than that, it's okay. It's not the best one in the series. It's not the worst one. Then we've got the spin-off, the add-on pack thing. So back in the day, I never used to have Xbox Live, so I used to have to get them on disc. They took ages to find. I mean, this is the add-on pack for Borderlands 2. And we've got Borderlands 2 itself. Borderlands Game of the Year edition, so that's Borderlands with all the DLC. And now you can just get the 4K versions anyway, but these are all the originals. That's Borderlands. And we've got The Darkness, so that's another similar horror kind of thing. It's similar to the Fear files, I would say, or Fear. Then we've got the Bioshock games, so it's some of the best things ever made. So that's Bioshock Infinite. I wasn't as keen on that one. I believe I prefer the other games in the series, but the Big Daddies and that are iconic. Bioshock 2, probably my favourite in the series. He also looks like the thing in Rune Terror, the thing. It won't come to me the name immediately, but he looks very similar to the character in Rune Terror as well. Bioshock, the original. More EA shmups. Battlefield 3. Aliens, Colonial Marine. James Bond games. I haven't played these ones, but I've played like GoldenEye on the thing. I was hoping these ones would be okay. I haven't played this one, so it's 007 Legends. Quantum of Solace. I also don't like James Bond, the films. I basically saw GoldenEye when it came out because I was forced to see it, and I'm not that keen on them. Now we go up to the other ones. Still 3 shelves to go. So we've got Turning Point. Oh, I do believe I saw that earlier. I think that's a duplicate. Okay, never mind. So then we go Medal of Honor. That's the limited edition. And we go Singularity. Then we've got these Prototype. So these are quite fun. So they've got you've got more like powers in this game. So you've crossed with like open world kind of thing. So these are quite good fun. There's I believe 2 games in sequence. You're going to see them in a minute. Prototype, the original. Bourne Conspiracy, similar to a James Bond kind of thing. Vanquish, another Sega-based shooter. It's quite good fun. Jericho, so another horror-based shooter. Too Human, so that's similar to Mass Effect from some perspective, but like it's nowhere near as good as that game. Then we've got Kane and Lynch. That's one of the games in the series. Warhammer Space Marine. I'm quite keen on the Warhammer kind of universe, but so this is a shooter set in that universe. It's okay. I don't think it's anything special. They're better games in the series, like Total Warhammer. And we've got the Lost Planet. First one. Second one. Army of Two. Probably quite good fun in co-op, but I've never played it in co-op. There's like two characters. I was like, if you played it through that way, it would probably be quite good. And then you've got Max Payne. There's so many things about whether they're going to remaster this or put it as one of the Vault games. They haven't decided yet, so we'll see what happens. Or they're remastering the first 2, I believe. Then we've got the Unreal Tournament. We've got... Oop, drop one. I'll pick it up in a minute. I'm making lots of mess doing this. Time Shift. I think that's slightly more obscure. Then we've got Prey. They've remade this as well. I've got the newer version as well. I think I've got it is further down the shelf. And they've got the Red Faction games. Obviously, these ones are really good. You can destroy most of the environments in it, and it's quite good fun. So that's Red Faction Guerrilla. Then we've got Armageddon. That's the sequel to Guerrilla. I don't think it's as good as the first one. Then we've got the Mercs games. Mercenaries 2, similar to the previous game. It's similar to Red Faction. Then we've got the Crackdown games. So we've got Crackdown 2. Crackdown, the first one. We've got the Just Cause games. Just Cause 2. Just Cause. Then we've got the Condemned, more like horror-y kind of survival things. Condemned, the second one. Now go on to more other good games. So we've got Brutal Legend. I think this was the most recent game I picked up. It's got Tim Schafer's name, who's also associated with various other games. Double Fine. I haven't played this game, but supposedly it's like a music kind of based game. And we've got like now it's going to be the Rockstar games. So we've got Red Dead. I only got that recently. I mean, I'm still looking for the second one. GTA 5. Everybody has to have a GTA 5. I mean, it's been released on most consoles. This is what I paid for it back in the day. Doesn't go for that now. And we've got the Tales from Liberty City. So that's this expansion to GTA 4, which we'll see in a minute. This is released as a standalone game. GTA 4. I've got to have played most of the GTA games. I mean, I played the 2D ones as well. I've got most of them. Sleeping Dogs, which is another kind of open world game. Square Enix. It's similar to GTA kind of thing. And then I've also thought I put this one in the sequence. It's Watch Dogs. I've just put it next to it because I thought it would look in the right spot. Then we've got more Rockstar game. So we've got Bully. So this one I think goes for a reasonable amount as well. It's like, imagine GTA in a kind of a school, a private school kind of setting. Anyway, it's good fun. I've played this one through. Then we go on to Resi games. So we've got Resident Evil Revelations, which is like a spin-off. They're not main series games, but they've got like various story-based. I think they have multiple stories generally in each. So it's Revelations 2. Resident Evil 5. I don't think it's as good as Resident Evil 4, but like it's still okay, but it's like controversial. Resident Evil 6. By this time they're more action based and less thing, and more about just they're more arcadey. Then we've got Metal Gear Solid. So that's Ground Zeroes, which is like the first part of it's a prequel to Phantom Pain. Then we go on to Phantom Pain itself, which is the main game. Then we go Metal Gear Rising, which is a action-based spin-off. It's more like a Devil May Cry or a Bayonetta. Snake's not in it. It's Raiden on the cover. Then we've got Lost, which I've got nearly all the achievements for. I've watched the TV series. I really enjoyed the TV series, and as I say, the game isn't probably as good, but like it's like okay. Then we've got more games. So we move on to Alan Wake. This is underrated. This is like a Resident Evil kind of style game. With the thing, I finished it. I believe there's another edition that is more expansion or something, but that one's the base game. And we've got the Star Wars games. So these are okay. These are like action Star Wars games. So these ones are okay compared to some of the other Star Wars games that are trash. So this one's Force Unleashed 2. It's a like arcadey kind of one. And then you've got the original Force Unleashed. You've got Ninja Gaiden 3, which came out on the 360. I've got the Ninja Gaiden 1 and 2 Sigma on the PlayStation 3, as they've got more complete editions of those games. Then we've got Batman games. So it's like Arkham City, Arkham Origins. I started the first Arkham game, but Arkham I borrowed off a friend, and I haven't got a copy since. That's the Saint Row game, so they're more like a more comedic GTA. That's 4, 3, 2, 1. Anyway, we've got just one more shelf to go. These are some of the more things. So these are like basically grasshopper games. So these have more value. Say they're more collectible than a lot of the other ones. So this is Killer is Dead. These games also above average difficulty. They all range. Some of them are quite difficult. So Shadows of the Damned. That's like a horror, more horror-y than some of the other ones. Lollipop Chainsaw. I mean, this has value. I think the PlayStation 3 version might be slightly, quite a lot more actually than this. They have value. It's good fun. It's like a thing. I don't think this one's too difficult in terms of difficulty. Then we go on to Castlevania. So that's Lords of Shadow. I'm missing the second one, but I'm sure I'll get it at some point. I've got Devil May Cry. This is the reboot. I don't think it's as good as the original Devil May Cry games, with the third one in particular, but this is done by, I think it might even be a different studio. Yeah. Kong. I believe I have 100% of the achievements on this game. It was one of the games back in the days where people only played it for achievement. It's not very good. Simpsons. This has good value. I think this is a 15 to 20. It has some value. One of the better Simpson games. Star Trek Legacy. It's got Bethesda on it and Star Trek. I don't think it's very good, but it's like I like Star Trek. We've got more actiony. So we've got Vikings. Mirror's Edge. Cameo Elements of Power. That's like another game by Rare. And we've got Bionic Commando. It's like a reboot of the old school game. And we've got Bayonetta. It's a classic action game. Quite difficult as well, but like it's good. There's the second one came out more recently. Lord of the Rings Conquest. It's more like an action Lord of the Rings kind of game. This is my only US game, so it's Naughty Bear. I found it, and it's like, oh, it's NTSC, but it works fine in my English machine, so that's fine. I've got Tomb Raiders. So this is the reboot of the Tomb Raider from 2000 and something. Yeah, so I've got the more recent one now. I've got it on the PC itself, so it can run it at 4K. But this is the original version. And it's good. I wasn't a fan of the original Tomb Raiders because they were slightly clunky. The controls are tank controls. Tomb Raider Legend. These are more like flying games now. So we've got Blazing Angels. It's like World War II themed. I'm not a fan. Tom Clancy's Hawk 2. That's a Tom Clancy game in the Hawk crossover thing. So these are quite enjoyed. There's like they're more arcadey than some of them, so it's not too bad. Whereas there's some games with more traditional flight sim controls are like a pain. And we've got original Tom Clancy Hawk. Last ones now. Saboteur. Never played it. I think it was the controversial one with like the nipples DLC in it. Mafia 2. That's the edition with the extra bits in the box. We've got Dynasty Warriors games. They're good fun. They're nothing too serious, but like they've released lots of them. There's some more mainstream ones. This is Dynasty Warriors 7. Dynasty Warriors 5. And we've got Dead Rising games. So I got the more recent one. I think I got the one on the Xbox recently. So this is Dead Rising, the original one. It was a zombie game, so there's a time limit system though, so it's like more urgency than some of the more recent ones in the series. You got Dead Rising 2. There's also available with a different protagonist, which changes it up slightly, so it's more like a remix. And we've got some random ones that come in. Things Tetris, that should be in another section. That's a puzzle game. That's one of the worst Tetris games. It's really bad. You've got Enslaved, Journey to the West. That's really good. Avatar the game. I've never seen the film. I've played the game. Golden Axe Beast Rider. This is supposedly terrible. I've played it. It's to me. We've got Dragon Ball. Battle of Z. I haven't actually seen Dragon Ball. I've seen anime, but not Dragon Ball. It's like it's quite fun. It's didn't have the manual in it, and I had to figure out some stuff. But like Dragon Ball games have above average value. That's Battle of Z. And we're on to the last game now. The Adventures of Tintin: Secrets of the Universe. I've played it. It's nothing special. I got it because it was cheap. Anyway, I've made a mess on the floor now, and I'll probably have to clear it up. Or I'll just pan around to show you the mess. Anyway, my next video should be about gun games, light gun games. I will hopefully see you at some point soon. All the best. Like, comment, subscribe. Thanks very much. Bye.